Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nemeka Onyeka Obiariri. There is an issue I just want us to look at. Why is it that in Nigeria today, at the subnational level, the states and the LGAs, the emphasis so much is on driving IGR, raising taxes and levies on a population that has 133 million multidimensional poor, 182 million Nigerians that do not even earn up to 60,000 naira, more than 60,000 naira a day, a month as income, and a population that has, according to NDIC record, that has 112 million bank accounts, and only about 400,000 of them, 0.6% of them, have up to 500,000 naira deposit inside them. Why are we so fixated with so much emphasis on revving up IGR without putting much emphasis and energy on how we can increase productivity among the populace, how we can increase employment, how we can generate productivity of goods and services among the populace? Why are we so fixated about driving revenue? From where? IGR, from already 1.3 million Nigerians who are on the floor. IGR from average Nigerian population of about 182 million that earns not more than 60,000 naira income per day, per month. Where are we even looking at driving this IGR? Why are we so fixated on driving IGR without looking at how we can actually rev up output of goods and services? Now, I am one person that so much believe that Nigeria is one country where tax to GDP is very, very low. Tax to GDP is very, very low because productivity here is very low. You know, when Peter Obi talks, some of you will say, oh, he's talking about China and Vietnam. He gives you a typical example. Vietnam, population of about 100 million people, and yet their export annually is over $300 billion. Nigeria, population of 210 million people, estimate total export no more than $47 billion. South Africa, population of 60 million, average yearly export over $1.6 billion. Does it not worry us that we are a population of unproductive human beings? Rather than thinking about how we can engender productivity of goods and services, we are only thinking about how we can rev up IGR. From where? You can only rev up IGR from a population. You can only sweat as much liquid as possible from a wet material. You cannot make a cow that is not fattened. The example of Nigeria is like example of Nigerian cow. The average Israeli Holstein cow, even under the desert, can produce about 60 liters of milk a day. The average Nigerian cow that treks from Kauranamuda to Port Harcourt under a very inhuman condition can only produce about 3 liters of milk a day. The same thing that we have in Nigeria. The average Nigerian is unproductive because the environment, the conditions, the socio-economic, the physical and monetary policy, the criminality, the insecurity, the economic policies, everything, the corruption, have all contributed to making the average Nigerian unproductive. I give an example here. In Imo State, where I come from, we have close to about the estimated population of Imolites. We have about 5.4 million people in Imo State. We all are aware that the estimated working population age in Nigeria is about 83%. That simply means out of the 5.4 million, if we are to extrapolate, out of the 5.4 million Imolites, we have a population of about 83% who are employable. 83% who are employable. 83% employable means we have almost about 4 million population of Imolites who are employable. So if we are able to use 50%, that's okay. Let us even not say okay, the adult working population in Imo State, let us not even assume that 100% will be employed. Let us even assume that only 50% of the adult working population of Imo State were able to put them into productive work, producing goods and services. That simply means we will have active 2,160,000 Imolites who can be gainfully employed, engaged in one craft or the other, in one production of goods and services in a way that they can even earn up to 2,000 naira a day. Let us even come down low. What are we doing to put, even if it is 50% of the adult work, if we can be able to put 50% of the adult working population of Imo State to work and be able to provide them with security, with enabling environment, with policy, transparent, physical, monetary, socio-economic policies and programs that can even enable them to earn 1,500 a day average. That simply means on a daily basis we have a working population that can earn revenue of about 3.2 billion. If we apply 10% tax flat on this, that simply means every day, if we can energize our workforce, create the enabling environment, provide incentive that can enable them to work, that simply means every month we'll be able to produce revenue, IGR, of almost about 3.4 million every day. If you multiply by even 330 days, that simply means if we create the enabling security environment, the enabling policy environment, the enabling program environment for our people, 50% of our working population in Imo State to go to work, we'll be able to get nothing less than 106 billion naira in terms of IGR. IGR cannot come from the moon. You cannot place something on nothing and expect it to stand. So what do we do? How do we energize our first of all, we need to be transparent. Government is all about transparency. The first thing Yar'Adua did when he became president, the only living human being in Nigeria that was alive to do it, was to first of all acknowledge that the system that brought him to power was fraudulent. The next thing Yar'Adua did was to introduce rule of law and transparency of governance. Yar'Adua, first of all, as a show of good faith, declared his assets and liabilities publicly. He published before the whole world what he earns and what he owes or what he owned, in a way that people will know what belongs to him, so that he does not even have any incentive to go and steal. If we have a transparent government in place that engenders the trust and confidence of the people, a government that every fact and jack that comes to the state, the local government allocations are used for the local government without commingling it with the state fund. The facts are transparently applied, prudentially applied, in a way people will be applied the funds of Anambra State, and people could see that honesty, sincerity, and trust. The people will see, they will rally around such government. Now, if you look at it, even to break it down, there are different sectors of and activities, different areas of human endeavor. There are many bricklayers. There are those who are into artisanal jobs. There are nurses. There are carpenters. There are mechanics, motor mechanics of different brand. There are motorcycle mechanics. There are bicycle repairers. There are palm wine tappers. There are tailors. There are different brand of vocational jobs and services. There are hairdressers. Now, do we have, when we talk about bringing governance down to the local government areas, to the community areas, it's all about inclusiveness in a way that you can energize trust among the people. Now, we have been so lucky. Nigeria has been delineated into states, 36 states, 774 local government areas, 8,809 electoral wards. Then we can even go down to the community level. Take for instance Imo State. Imo State has 305 electoral wards. Do we really understand that if we actually take government to the governance to the grassroots, we can actually at the ward level get people, when people see there are incentives in terms of training, in terms of provision of empowerment and support, micro, small and medium scale credits available to them, that when people see that government cares for them, government is willing to support them, even those who are into agriculture, those who are into business, when people see clearly that government has put in place a very transparent, accountable and scientific ways of empowering them to be productive, they will rally around such government. Have you bothered to think about it, that at the world level you can provide registers where you have register of all the bricklayers in the world, register of all the carpenters in the world, registers of all the masons in the world, registers of all the mechanics at the world level, registers of all the tailors, all the farmers, different grades. Why do we do this? Registers of all the teachers, all the nurses, their areas of specialty. Why do we have this kind of register? It helps us in planning. You cannot plan in the atmosphere of nothing. When you have such kind of register, it will enable you to plan. Okay, if we have 20 mechanics in this ward, or we have 100 mechanics in this local government area, how do we put in place a zone or an area called mechanic village? How do we put in place the incentives, the infrastructure in those mechanic village to enable them thrive? How do we provide training for them in such a way that they will not be quacks? How do we provide funding support for those that want to go into parceling within those areas of specialty? Those that are doing POP, how many are there in our ward, in our local government area? How do we provide the best of training for them? How do we provide funding support for them? How do we link them up from the users of the services and the buyers and the suppliers of the services? These are the things any single government officer for put in place. When the people see that you genuinely, who are they tellers? Who are those into fashion designing? What do they do? Can we do clusters at the local government level? Do we have incentives? How we can link the buyers and the suppliers? Do we have things that will help to support them? Those are into pharmaceuticals, the chemists. What society do they belong to? Do we have the association of those guys? How do we link them up between the producers of drugs to those who are selling it in a way that we don't have adulterated and fake drugs? How do we train them? These are the kind of things we are talking about. You can't just wake up and say we want to rev up revenue. Even the revenues, the IGR already in place. How do we plug the leakages? How do we digitize the revenue collection in such a way that 80% of what is collected do not end up in private pockets? Close your eyes and look at what I have said, and let me summarize again. If we can find creative ways, which are very easy to do based on some of these have been enumerated, to put 40% or 50% of the working adult population in Imo State to work, each of them making at least 1,500 naira a day, we can be able to rev up IGR to about 106 billion naira within the next 2 years, creating the enabling environment. Enabling environment, government is not there to create job. Government is there to provide enabling environment for goods and services to be produced by the private sector. And the key enabling environment is transparent and accountable governance. Letting the people know that you've come to serve and not come to loot. Letting the people know what comes to them. Providing monthly accounts of what you have received, of what you have spent. Providing the enabling community mission-driven security framework. Putting security back to the community so that they can protect themselves without fear, alert, and hindrance. Community can only share intelligence with a security outfit or agents that they trust. These things are not skyrocket, they are not rocket science. Governance is so simple for those who understand. 10%. If we can put 50% of the adult working population in Imo State to work, we can easily generate over 100 billion naira annually from IGR. We can even double it. But that security of life and property must be there. The supporting infrastructure must be there. The design, structure, and execution framework of documenting people and providing them with the support needed must be there. We have many microfinance platforms in Imo State. How are we working with them? How are we linking them up to development funding agencies? How are we providing guarantees to enable them? How are we linking them up to our people? When you put these things in place, we can be able to widen the tax net. When people see incentives, when people see a government that is genuinely concerned about helping them to come out of poverty, to put them into productive works, they will be willing to provide information and support and pay their tax gleefully and happily. God help us in Nigeria.